Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Zishanawan and you are watching How One Works. If you're new to the channel, let me tell you, we talk about professional growth, how you can choose your career, how you apply for a job and get hired. So in today's video, we are going to talk about the very basic, the very first step of getting hired to your dream job. And that the very first step is taking the very first screening call by the recruiter. So today's video is all about how you'll have to go through the screening process, which means the very first call by the recruiter, how you introduce yourself, how you answer questions. So stay tuned and keep watching How One Works. So friends, usually the very first question is about your introduction, where the caller, the recruiter, they tell you to introduce yourself. If I were you, this is how I would respond, depending on what position you applied for, at what company, what your academic background is, and why are you interested in this job. I'll have you walk through how you can actually convey all your interest, your spark, your previous experience, and how you relate to this job in a very concise manner within, let's say, 1 minute, a minute and a half. So this is how we respond in response to when they ask you to introduce yourself. So I would say, yeah, my name is Ishanawan and I applied for this position because my previous experience and my academic background relies and relates to this job. So I started working in this telecommunication or business process outsourcing sector back when I was doing my graduation. I worked as full-time as customer service representative or a lead generation specialist, where we used to call people and generate leads for different products depending on the role and the campaign and the product I was working for. I worked for my very first company for 1.5 years. Now here you can name your company. I'm not making any names, or I'm not taking any designation or any particular products. The next step would be the next company you worked for. So I worked for this next company for 1.5 years, and this is what I learned from my previous job experience that helped me capitalize on my experience and grow myself better, learn more skills, and grow up the ladder in my career. The last company I worked for is renowned in this very sector, and I was part of this team. My designation was, let's say, product specialist. I worked there for 3 years, where I learned more about how sales cycle, how we start through prospecting, how we run discovery, qualify our prospects, then run demonstrations in form of presentations, how do we negotiate the deals, the product, the price package, and how we finally take that customer and transform them to our client, or how we transform that cycle to a closed one. It really helped me a lot to understand how business-to-business sales work, how corporate sector works, and especially when you are in a hardcore selling business, what you need to learn as the basic traits and what skills are really mandatory if you really want to excel in that career. So once you are done throwing that introduction out, now he knows where you worked and you know what you did. Now the second question is usually, why do you want to join a certain company in that certain role? So this is how I would respond. So I have been working for these companies and over a career of my 4 years in sales, starting from sales associate to account executive and then product specialist. I learned that I have to keep that persistence and self-driven and self-motivated skills up to par if I want to grow in the career. And I kept the same reason why I was applying at your company, because you guys are specialists, you are paying good, and the offers, the benefits that the company offer, they're really exciting. I heard a lot about your culture, and if you were referred by a certain friend or myself, you can quote my name or that friend's name, like this has been their experience, and they really talk greatly. They hold the company in very high regard about the management, about the product, and which is why I want to join your company to further learn more, enhance my skill set, and to grow up the ladder during my career growth. The tricky question where the recruiter asks you, why are you leaving your current job? Why do you want to leave your current job? And one tip, do not talk or do not badmouth your current employer, because the future employer, they're going to assume that if you're talking bad about your current employer, you're bad-mouthing them or backbiting, you're going to do the same with this employer when you leave their company. So Here is how I answered, depending on like what role you have been in, what sector you have been working. So I'll name a few companies here. When I switched from Motive, which was known as Keep Trucking, to my second last employer, that is Edge, this is what I told them, which was a very genuine reason. And you could actually, if you have a real-time scenario where you actually want to switch from your current employer to the future employer, be honest. That's the best policy. So I be honest, I tell them about the money, if that move is about the money, about the culture, if that motive is about the culture. So when during my final interview, the employer asked me, why do I want to switch from Keep Trucking to a new company? This is what I told them. So I have been with this company, Keep Trucking, for like nearly 3.5 years, and the journey has been great. I learned a lot about corporate sales, about B2B sales cycle. I learned a lot of systems like CRMs and problem solving tickets. I learned the approach, how people abroad across the borders work. But I really want to take a break from a sales career, and I'm looking for a more sustained growth in something non-sales where I can have a work-life balance. And of course, you guys are offering the same amount of money, so I would rather go for a company that is more known for its culture, paying the same, has great benefits, and which is why I'm interested in switching to Edge from Keep Trucking. Now, depending on what field you are applying, what position you have been working previously, what's your role, what's your economic background. Let's say if you are a designer or if you're a developer, I really cannot talk much about that because I've never done that. I'm more a customer service and salesperson. But yes, you can comment down below if you want to share your experience about the interviews, about the selection process from your previous employer to the current employer, or where if you are currently in your dream job. And I would be happy to come over to you, or we could schedule a session where we could interview you and you can share your experience for your niche and your sector. So talking about sales or customer services, this is what I respond when the customer. So as I said, I have been in sales and customer services. So depending on my experience, when a recruiter asks me on what systems I have worked on, I relate to my previous job and how that knowledge can actually help me to get better at the future job, the current job that I'm applying. So you can code, and I suggest you do code the softwares, the systems that you have used, if you did any certification, if the company helped you to take a course or a diploma or a certificate to learn more about that system, to mention that way the recruiter knows that you have added value during your stay with that company, and you are certainly going to do the same with their company. So I usually mention CRMs like Salesforce that I have worked on in Keep Trucking. I mentioned HubSpot, ZoomInfo, SalesLoft, Jira or Zoho. These are a few names that we used in those companies. If you are a salesperson, a customer services person, you are probably familiar. But if you are from a different sector, from a different industry, you can comment down below so I could learn what you have been using. But as I said, I suggest you do mention those systems, those softwares, so the employer, your future employer, knows that you are quick to learn and you are easy to adapt, and you are going to certainly add more value when you join their company. So it's not that era that happened 10 years ago that the recruiter is going to tell you or ask you to sell him a pen or convince him of a problem or be an irate customer and want you to cool him down. But yes, what they can ask you is probably they are going to send you a task that you'll have to complete, maybe doing some research work, or maybe solving certain customer queries, or maybe writing a couple of emails to help the future employer understand that you are good at what you are telling them that you're good at. Generally, the last question employer has, the recruiter has, what's your notice period? How soon can you join? And if they're looking for an immediate fill for this very position, again, my tip is be honest. If you'll have to serve a notice period, tell them that you'll have to serve a notice period, because you will not be paid your dues for. But if they offer you to actually, you will get a sign-up bonus, or they are going to pay you if you switch tomorrow. Again, that's your own call. Usually I tell all my future employers that I'll have to serve this notice period, because I'm honest to my current employer. Because if I'm going to ditch and I'm going to be dishonest with my current employer, my future employer is automatically going to assume that I'll be disloyal, dishonest, and I'm going to ditch the future employer too when I'm leaving their job down the lane in a couple of years or 5 years or 10 years. So always be honest. Tell them that this is the notice period that you'll have to complete, and this is how much time you need to join this new company. And nowadays companies would ask you if the position is remote. They're going to ask you if you have any equipment, like you have a laptop, you have a good internet speed, you have a good headgear. If you do, that's great. Tell them right away. If you do not, ask them if the company provides equipment, if the company is going to reimburse you for the internet connection, or they probably are going to give you a 4G wireless device for internet. So be clear about how soon you can join the company. Be clear about what equipment you have or you are going to get, and if you're going to get paid for that. So there are certain companies who do not send you equipment. They want you to use your own equipment. So if you'll have to get that, you're going to ask for, probably reimbursement. Or if the company is really clear that they're not going to reimburse you for anything, again, that's your call if you want to really join that company. Do ask about the benefits. If the recruiter tells you that it's too early, well, they have known you. They have asked a lot about you. Why are you not asking about the company? And one bonus tip is when they ask you, do you have any questions? Do ask the question. Do research on the company. Do probably ask about the department, about the promotion criteria, about the probation period, and like what factors are you going to be evaluated to show your interest, that you are really interested in the company, you are really interested in the role, and you are giving your 100% if you are applying to that very company, and you are going to be staying with that future employer for quite a long time if they're going to justify your role, your salary, and you. So friends, that was all for today's topic. If you found it helpful, you can subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and if you want to suggest me more topics related to hiring, applying for jobs, getting hired for job, what system you used, you can comment down below. You can follow us on Facebook on How One Works. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and my page is How One Works, so you can send us messages over there, or you can comment down below, or you can contact on our WhatsApp number and suggest what more topics would you like us to make videos on. Till next time, take care, and Allah Hafiz.